Today we have Carl Wegner of R3, the head of Asia and the managing director. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna get right to it. So I just really want to know what industries do companies come to R3 for partnerships and for collaborations?
Yeah, I mean R3 really started out as a consortium of banks, right? We were invested by the banks and really started as a financial service platform. But now we've discovered that a lot of other industries also want to use the same service, the Corda platform. So in financial services, so the biggest areas we see the most development are in supply chain, trade finance, insurance, and digital assets. But we also see that healthcare is coming up. We see some tracking, provenance and tracking. So a lot more areas of a lot more different industries want to use blockchain, and they realize since we're built for financial institutions with that kind of stability and that kind of reliability, that this is also the platform they want to build on.
Okay, cool. And we also know that R3 has a lot of collaborations, and one of them is the Marco Polo network. So what is R3's role exactly in the Marco Polo network?
Yeah, so I mean, Marco Polo is again, a post-trade financing system built by TradeIX. And again, we have nearly 300 companies that are building different solutions on Corda. Now, in the post-trade financing, Marco Polo is probably the most advanced, and they're working with, I think, over 30 banks now to build this system. And R3 supports because they build on Corda. So they're one of the solutions built on Corda, and continue to work with them quite closely, working with our ecosystem as banks as well. So as they grow, we grow, and we continue to support them. Yeah.
Okay. And a little bit more about Voltron and that its collaboration, its involvement with R3. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Voltron platform in general?
Yeah, Voltron's slightly different, right? So I mean, TradeIX is a software company that has building Marco Polo, right, on Corda. Voltron actually is a project. It started, Project Voltron started about 18 months ago as a collaboration between 8 banks, R3, Bain, and CryptoBlock, the technology company, to look at, does blockchain help letters of credit? Right, letters of credit are a very manual process. Could blockchain help that and make it more efficient and make it more usable for more people to be able to streamline letters of credit? And that 18-month project has now not concluded, but after 18 months now, the banks have decided that they want to make this not just make an experiment, but make it a real company. So Project Voltron will be incorporated as a company by the end of the year. We'll be setting up here in Singapore, and we'll be setting up a new company that's invested in by the banks, by R3, by technology companies. And again, we're looking forward to launching the beta network in December.
Is there any news that you could tell us about your involvement with Voltron?
That's a real good question again, and the first to talk about it today. Yeah, so I'll be moving to be the CEO of the company that used to be called Voltron, because we will be actually rebranding the name. So it was just the project name, Project Voltron was just a name, but we'll be setting up a new company with a new name, and when it starts up, I'll be the CEO. So I've been very lucky to be chosen to be the CEO, and looking forward to starting this new company very soon.
Okay. And a little bit more about Voltron's first letter of credit that was issued by HSBC in September. Mm-hmm. So was there any kind of consideration or criteria that it was chosen that the first letter of credit was to be denominated in Chinese yuan by HSBC? Was it chosen to be the first?
Well, actually, that's not the first. The Voltron has had about 15 different pilots. So again, as we've gone through the 18 months, there's been 50 different pilots. The one by HSBC was the first in RMB, right? So it was the first blockchain LC done in RMB. So that was the first for RMB. But there's 15 different pilots that have already been completed, all with live data, working with the different partners. And so again, the banks are Standard Chartered, HSBC, BNP, SCB, China Trust, Bangkok Bank, RBS. They've all done different pilots and working together to understand different components of LCs and the challenges, and that's helped us develop the product as well.
What do you think are the criteria that HSBC chose the Voltron platform?
Well, again, HSBC was one of the original 8 banks in the beginning of the project, and so again, HSBC is a big bank. Letters of credit are very important to them. They do, they're a big part of the global market of letters of credit, and I think again they were at the very beginning to help Voltron learn and build the system. So they're a big supporter and continue to grow with the Voltron company. Yeah, Project Voltron.
Okay. So let's go back to R3, getting to know, as you're the head of Asia, what are some major projects that R3 is working on based in Asia?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at R3 as a consortium, and from the very beginning, we've looked at being global. So even our investors, a third come from Asia, US, and Europe. We've always tried to be as global as possible. So Asia, we have a lot of things going on in Asia. In trade finance is one, because again, a lot of trade in Asia, but also in working with central banks. So for instance, Project Inthanon, working with the Bank of Thailand. Project Inthanon has been working on for over a year now, and phase 3 was just announced last week and at the Hong Kong Fintech Week, that they're working with HKMA for phase 3 of Project Inthanon. So again, we've worked with MAS here in Project Ubin, Lion Rock in Hong Kong a couple years ago, and Inthanon. Continue to work with the central banks and really to understand central bank digital currency, and a lot of it is for the central banks to understand what regulations might have to be changed, how this could affect their payment systems, and maybe not implement right away, but they first need to learn. Yeah. And this is the big part of these projects, is really the research is probably just as much a part of the project as the technology, right? Because the central banks really have to understand how this is going to change their world. And it's really interesting because they're getting very technical too. So a lot of the programming, the coding is done by the central banks as well. So it's great, they're hands-on, they're learning, and that's really the best way for them to feel comfortable, moving ahead and building on blockchain. Yeah.
So has R3 had a lot of collaborations or in talks with the central banks to help them understand, their digital?
For Lion Rock in Hong Kong, Inthanon in Thailand, Project Ubin, we've been involved in a few phases. So in Asia, we've also worked with a few other banks in Asia. There's a bank in Japan, and ECB did a collaboration, Stella, a couple years ago as well. So R3 it's a big part. If you think about just building from financial services, we need to build. People are building solutions on Corda, right? And the banks have to feel comfortable. But financial services are something that's highly regulated. Yeah. So we also have to make sure the central banks feel comfortable on products built on Corda. So we do work quite closely with the central banks and helping them better understand blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology, and how they can collaborate better.
Yeah. And other than working with, the central banks and the government, entities, are there other ways that R3 is working, to promote enterprise adoption?
Again, we're an enterprise blockchain platform, right? So we continue to work, and we have events like this, Singaore Fintech Festival and Hong Kong Fintech Week. We're at Sibos, where all the global banks get together at Sibos, and we continue to work with our customers are really the software companies that are building solutions on our platform. So continuing to build that community, and one of the key things about Corda as a base layer compared to the other systems is it's a community. So a business network built on Corda can interoperate with another business network, which is unique among blockchain enterprise blockchain systems. So each solution doesn't have to build everything. If they don't have it, they can find another company who's building on it, and they can collaborate with them. And the interoperability is built into the base layer of Corda, so you don't have to build APIs between them, so they can collaborate even quicker. And it becomes a commercial discussion, which is a much quicker commercial discussion than a technical discussion on how they can work together. And we think that's the advantage of Corda over the other systems, and why the community continues to build.
Okay. Last but not least, would just like to know what are you looking most looking forward to, in the next 5 years with blockchain for yourself.
For myself. Well, obviously, I'm looking forward to the project Voltron and the new company being set up. And I think that trade finance, supply chain are an incredible opportunity for blockchain to help streamline things. I've been in the space, in the trade finance space for over 30 years. And in the dot-com days, I went to work for a software company that helped automate some of it. But again, distributed ledger technology, the ability for ledgers to talk to each other, is going to change how companies work. And I think really, after the next 5 to 10 years, if you look at email, the internet and email allowed people to communicate directly and ubiquitously and cheaply, and communication so much easier because of the internet. Distributed ledger technology is going to allow companies to interoperate and work together as closely as we all connect together on social media and email now. And that's really the interesting thing, is to seeing how ledgers, different companies can talk to each other, ledgers can communicate with a set of rules, and it's going to change business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for talking with us today. Well, good luck with your panel, and we'll hope to see you again soon.
All right.
Thank
you
you
very much.
Thank you. Thank you.